Before touching on the international and the internal outrage over this visit, it's important with such a volatile issue to actually break down the facts and to be very specific on certain differences and details. Was the gesture a provocative measure that Itamar Ben-Gvir, as the national security minister, as you mentioned, went up on the Temple Mount this morning? Absolutely. However, it also needs to be brought to the point that he did so in an unprovocative manner. Itamar Ben-Gvir was not surrounded by thousands of security guards. He had a small security detail. He went up at 7 o'clock in the morning. The photos that we are seeing are of an empty compound, and it went off without any incident or any kind of furthering escalation straight afterwards. We know that the police did raise the threat level afterwards to much higher than it was prior to the visit. However, it wasn't brought out as an official announcement. But again, it just goes to show, yes, what he did was provocative, without a shadow of a doubt. But in terms of the details around it, he tried to do so in a way that was perhaps unprovocative. Now, with regards to the condemnation, Yair Lapid warning already yesterday, before Netanyahu had met with Itamar Ben-Gvir to speak to him about this visit, again, a meeting that had no announcements and no media presence there. And again, the media ended up reporting that it was likely to be postponed, although we see this morning that that was not the case. Yair Lapid saying this is going to cost Israeli lives, because what will happen is that Hamas will end up getting provoked by this and will end up launching rockets into Israel. Fortunately, we haven't seen that happen as of yet, but again, we are hearing condemnation not just from the Arab world, not just from the Palestinians or the foreign minister, saying that this was an unprecedented provocation, to which Benjamin Netanyahu's office put out a statement to say, actually, ministers have gone there in the past, and thus this status or this particular point is unwarranted and unfactual.
There certainly is an argument as well from many that today is a fast day in Israel. It's a day of mourning, and there is huge significance for people to be near a holy site. But you have outlined exactly what the sensitivities are. Talk to us about the political reaction.
So in terms of some of the political international reaction, we are looking at some of Israel's closest allies, the United States, France, the United Kingdom, all from their embassies within Israel, putting out statements, putting out tweets saying that, and all of them are in alignment. The status quo should not change. What do we mean by the status quo? We mean that ever since the 1967 taking over of Jerusalem and obviously capturing the Temple Mount as well, as part of the 1994 agreement with Jordan, the peace agreement, the Waqf, which is the Jordanian police, has religious authority on top of the Temple Mount, where Muslims are allowed to enter without any restrictions to be able to pray as well. But Jews and other religious groups have to enter at specific times on a premeditated route through a specific gate and are not by any means allowed to pray there. Now, it has been in the past with certain ministers like Gilad Erdan, who is the Israeli ambassador now to the United Nations, but was the former public security minister like Ben-Gvir, who mentioned possibly changing that status quo, but not actually acting on it. So we have had all of these ministers reaching out onto Twitter to say that nothing can change, that they have made their side of things very clear. It's likely that their condemnation is going to go further to even Israel's adversaries, which we've seen like Qatar and Saudi Arabia as well.